All right, so I'm getting set up to engrave my first tumbler. I have it mounted in the rotary here. One thing that I've realized you have to be very careful of is the orientation of the rotary. So you want to make sure the logo is kind of facing you. Some people put their rotary in backwards like this, and what happens is the motor turns the opposite direction than what the software is expecting, and your engraving will turn out mirrored. So that's why if you see some people saying, oh, you have to mirror your design before you engrave it, it's just because they put the tool in backwards. So the rotary actually plugs into the motherboard where the motor for the Y-axis plugs in. So you're actually disabling this movement of the laser and plugging the motor from the rotary into the motherboard instead. So I've got the rotary oriented the correct way. I'm going to just try to square it up. I don't have a grid or anything, so I'm just gonna kind of eyeball, having it parallel with this gantry right here. That way everything comes out straight when it's etched. You'll notice I did go with an internal mounting of the jaws on the cup instead of, gripping it from the outside. And that's because my design is going to be pretty large, so I didn't want the jaws to be crashing into the laser head as it was moving around, because I'm gonna have to basically come up, pretty far with the laser in order to etch the design. So the internal mounting just gives full clearance for the head to bypass anything. All right, so next I'm going to check the height of the laser module. So I'll bring the kickstand down. Now, I'm not entirely sure how much it matters that the tumbler is wider here and then narrows down here. So obviously the height is going to differ down here when the laser is etching. Now, I suppose I could use a level to try to shim this up a little bit to get it more parallel with the laser. I don't know how important that is, to be honest, but I guess, since this is my first time, we might as well try. So you can see my laser is pretty level there. So let's see if I can get this a little bit better with shimming this up. So I just put a little piece of plywood under there to try to level it a little bit. Now it's not going to be perfect because there is a curve to the surface of this tumbler. So if I bring it down here, we can see we're off. If I bring it up here, we're off in the other direction. But I think this is kind of like a happy medium. And again, I don't know how critical this really is because this is my first tumbler, and I'm not sure what the range in the focal distance, how much that affects the quality of the engraving. So we'll just do this to be safe. Maybe this is overkill. I have no idea. All right, so I'm just gonna try to square it up again. And so now that I shim that up, I can adjust the height. And I think what I'll do is I'll set the height to be right at the middle point, because that should be the high point now. Now that I've leveled the tumbler, the middle right there should be the highest point. So we'll bring the kickstand up. Now remember, you've disabled this axis, so we have to manually align this to the center of the tumbler to begin our framing. I've got the laser grid aligned right to the center of the tumbler there, and then I'll bring the head up to the top where I want the top of the design to start. So here's the design we're etching, and you can see the overall size is 100 millimeters. So you notice I have it oriented basically how I would see it in the laser. So the tumbler, the top of the tumbler is up here, the bottom is there, and so I have this oriented in the same way. And again, it's not mirrored because I have the rotary oriented the proper direction. So in Creative Space, I have laser cylindrical selected here. There is a kind of stainless steel mug black material default in there, but just from some research I did, the settings seem to be off. So I kind of overrid that, which I'll show you in a bit. I'm using the chuck, so we're in chuck mode. The perimeter is the circumference of the tumbler. I measured the circumference right here. I think that's pretty much the widest part on the tumbler. So put in 280. we want to make sure engrave is enabled. Otherwise, it's basically, if you do score, it's just going to do the outlines of the shapes. It's not going to do any of the fill. And then I clicked this to override the parameters, and I'm going to try 55 power and 50 speed. And I have 160 lines per inch, and that's it. So hopefully these settings will be good. Now for the framing, you'll see that I have the origin set right here. So you can change the origin right here. So you just click one of these dots. So you can change it to be the bottom, the corner. So I have it right in the center at the top. And so that's where I'm referencing this cross laser. So that cross is the top center of my design. So if I click framing and we press the button, it's gonna rotate the cup a little bit. And now it's outlining where the design is gonna be. So it's rotating, it's going straight up, rotating, straight down. So that's gonna be where our design is. And now it's back at the top center. All right, so framing is complete. We're ready to start. While that's processing, turn on my fan and my air pump, and we'll begin. All right, so just finished. Let's check it out. So here's what it looks like right out of the laser. So it's all black right now. I'm hoping all of this will clean up and we'll see the stainless steel behind it. But overall, it looks like it came out pretty good. Seems pretty straight, not too much distortion. So let's see if we can clean it up. Doesn't look like I'm getting this black off of here. It looks like maybe I had my power settings too high and it actually etched some of the stainless steel. So still looks all right. I kind of wish it would have the shiny stainless though, instead of the black. Really what I should have done is taken a test tumbler and done a material test run with the laser, but I only bought one tumbler, so I didn't want to waste one. So this was with the XTool 20-watt D1 Pro, and that took about an hour. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.